Oh, yes, must be.
Hello and welcome to another in the series, The 28 Faces of Love. Today I talk with Bishop Ronald Blair. He's my father. We're going to hear what his role is or was with the National Religious Media Commission and the formation of Love 101. Hi, Dad. How are you?
I'm doing great.
All right. Could you share with us your first inclination or thinking about a radio station? Because I guess when the idea came, the name of the station wasn't there as yet. But how did, in your estimation, from where you stood, how did love begin?
Well, I think I could say it began with prayer, in that there were some of us who were hoping for a religious radio station. And less than that, we were hoping for more time given to religious matters on radio. And so we talked as much as we could to those who were in charge of Radio Jamaica. we called that Radio Jamaica, and Radio Fusion was the first thing. And then later on along the way, we had the religious programs, but they were paid for by the most part. And we had religious input by having recordings from United States in particular, and so forth. So that was there. And we were praying for the day when we would be able to have a religious radio station. And we probably prayed and talked about Christian radio station. But I'll never forget when the government of the day, I think under Honorable Edward Seaga, had a meeting with some of us who were involved in religious matters, and especially with the groups of the day, like JCC, or JPUA.
That's the Jamaica Council of Churches, the Jamaica Pentecostal Union, Apostolic, Full Gospel,
Seventh-day Adventists. Yes. Then I recall suggesting that the church groups of the day be united so that we can speak with one voice. So I think he was a Methodist man. And so a group comprising representatives of the religious groupings of the day was formed. And it was to pursue the establishment of a religious radio station. It eventually continued until the group was named National Religious Media Commission. And I recall that when we got that name, we had a meeting to choose a representative, a leader, chairman. So the one who was named the chairman, it was just to bring us to that point. And I recall being nominated and seconded by two of the religious groupings. And then I was unanimously elected to be chairman of what was then NCCC, National Consultative Committee of Churches. And I was shocked when we had another meeting to, I think the desire then was to have a new chairman elected for in that first meeting. It was so suddenly that we didn't work out the details.
Right.
What we had was a constitution done for NCCC. I might still have copies of that initial constitution. And then when we met, we got a message that JCC said they would no longer be a part of that movement. I was then recommended to be chairman of one of the other groupings. And but I was already chairman of Full Gospel.
Okay.
So I didn't see the sense in chairing two of the four groupings of that time. So I went to a meeting of that group where I was suggested that I could become chairman. I was nominated on the floor, but I quickly declined because I was already Full Gospel chair. At that time, I think Full Gospel was named. I took the burden on. I suggested and marched toward a change of that name from Full Gospel Ministerial Fellowship.
Yes, that was it.
And to change it to Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches.
Right.
So making it an association and giving it a more, what we felt then would be a natural name, having the churches of that nature grouping together under one umbrella, and therefore we could speak as one.
Yeah.
And,
the pulling together,
yeah,
the beginnings of the work. This is good stuff.
Yeah, so there were other things done at the meeting where we got the message that JCC said that they did not care to be a member of that grouping any longer. Another body suggested that they too would pull out.
Oh dear.
And we spoke with the Adventist representatives who were there and the Jamaica Pentecostal Union representative, and they would continue along with the Full Gospel Association. So we continued a little further, and till it was surprising. My brother Hero was an advocate, maybe the main advocate for a religious station. He was already on radio with his grouping as he was leading evangelistic committee on the island. But I was at another meeting of the NCCC, National Consultative Committee of Churches, when Hero came to the meeting. And what he had then was a written application to government for that assignment, a religious station. He asked if I would sign on the behalf of NCCC.
Right.
And I did. So I actually signed the application, which was prepared by my brother Harold. And that went to the government. At that time, I believe it was under the leadership of Honorable Edward Seattle. The message we got back was that they wouldn't grant it to one of the umbrella groups, but if all of the other of the umbrella groups spoke with one voice, it would.
Wow,
of course,
the power of unity.
NCC was already that group.
That group,
I think today we have umbrella group of
churches, right?
That was National Consultative
Ah.
Group of Church.
Mm-hmm.
So it was NCCC.
And then that became the umbrella group of churches.
Later on, well, I wasn't even in that league when the name change came. But
boy, I tell you, this is history lesson today.
I know it was an outgrowth of the
original
NCCC. But we had a change of government, and the application, which was already on file, was looked at and the license given. So we started from that, and then it wasn't named. I remember when we had a meeting planned during which we hoped to name this station, and I had a name, J-O-Y, and you remember the whole Sunday school chorus.
J-O-Y, joy. That one, J is for
Jesus, others, and
you, right?
Yes, it was formulated off
that. That would have been a joy.
But then as we went to the meeting, and the first suggestion that came on the table was love.
Yeah.
By Carmen Stewart. Honorable Carmen Stewart came with the name Love.
Mm-hmm.
So once that was put on the table, I didn't even bother with the one I had.
Yes.
Joy. So nobody else knew that I had joy as a suggestion.
Wow.
But then we started with that.
Yes. Wow, it's been 28 years, can you believe it? And of course, you served on the board and as chairman as well, but you're now retired from ministry and retired from the board before that.
I remember when you gave me a scholarship to the Church of God University, and everything was lined up because you already was at Immaculate, graduated from Immaculate, and was working. And I'll never forget when you came by me and asked, what do I suggest that you study? And I didn't pause to think about it because already graduation came. I remember coming to the graduation, but by that time, we had started a station. You weren't abreast of that, and love was going. So one station in the state had you considered for leadership or participation.
I was working, yes, WDRZ.
Yes, and so I suggested that since we now have a religious radio station, you should come home for it. And you mentioned your involvement in that station in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggested that you come home anyway. I'll never forget, you asked what I thought the pay would be monthly. And I said, I figure it would be at least 10,000 Jamaican dollars.
Nope, wasn't that.
But then it so happened that by the time we got home, the reality was 5,000. And I thought Ben had messed up your plans, so you could have had, you were being
I was working
sort
at,
of
yeah.
that sponsorship for your stay in the States
Yeah.
could be given, and that would be far better than a 5,000 Jamaican dollars. So,
It's been a great ride though.
and I remembered the situation we had when I would leave my church assignment and come by love, sometimes take you by love, that you would start your shift, which was then at what, 11?
Well, it was mixed up because I worked 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. and then I worked 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then I went back to working 5 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes, so there were some challenges, but
yeah.
the Lord helped us through.
Amen.
Yeah.
It's our 28th anniversary, and I know there's so much that's in you that we could talk about because you've been a part of the journey, you know, the embryonic stage and
Yeah,
to some of the main
choosing
years.
a person to lead and all that. I was part of that
Yeah,
until it came to selecting. Well, of course, Mr. Regard was the one chosen, and he steered things okay. I think he was a blessing with his knowledge of
yes,
radio
yes.
and everything like that. But I enjoyed sharing on the board, making the original decisions and so on, until I was eventually asked to chair. For all of that was in the constitution we had originally planned, how you would select, how you would continue to put individuals in the position as a chairman.
Mhm.
And so I did my bit. It wasn't much, but I was able to share and hope that it was a blessing not only to the station love, but to the island and the reach of love.
We want to wrap with a prayer. I'd ask you for what you pray for Love FM, what your hope is for Love FM.
Okay, some of what we hoped for did not all materialize because as time went on, individuals came who did not stay through, but the original format and such continues. And we are glad to know that there are individuals. I was privileged to spend a few years with a program at one point and then 2 programs at another time.
Yes.
And there was a time when I was on radio every day of the week with one of the program or the other.
Right. Moments in the Word and Forward in Faith.
And I remember one person who is on there now, our African brother, Odi, came to the island while I was at one of our churches, 65 Waltham Park Road. And I was told by the secretary one day that somebody was there to see me. So Brother Odi came and he told me that he heard me doing revelation on the radio and he had to come and talk with me. So we had a good talk and I eventually recommended him for his program on love. And he's still there.
Yes. What's your prayer for Love FM?
A prayer for continuation, success financially, because that area needs much The original contribution from the churches was by radio and loans from the churches and everything like that. We struggled through that era and such, but now we hope for sponsorship from individuals or churches so that will be able to keep the station open and successful.
Indeed. Thank you so much for sharing. And that's an important part of the start of love. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing in the future. And we do pray you all the best.
Okay.
And I want to thank you for watching and for staying with us for this entire month, February 28th. And it's our 28th anniversary. And so we interviewed one person each day. And it was certainly a pleasure. It was a great time. I am Nadine Blair, and I thank you for watching and for listening and for making it Love 101, a family station.
Oh yes, 'cause we are family.
You're my brother, you're my sister.
We are family.
Hello, neighbor.
We are family. What do you need from who you are? We are family.
Love will reach you.
We are family.
Uptown and downtown.
We are family.
We are family, yes we are.
We are family.